more than the science behind the product, I was captured by the story. And 2 sons, David and Dan, came to tell us a story about their father and how he had formulated a product after suffering so much loss. And I was, as a nurse, very captivated because I had never heard of anything in the natural world helping with some of these mental health issues like bipolar. And so I was immediately struck by this one. If it does even half of what it says it does, is one that is going to be a spotlight like I talked about before. And then with our own family trying it, we just have, it's been sealed the deal for us as far as how it works in our life. But I was also very impressed going all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada and fighting to have that supplement in my store.
Hello, greetings, good day, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Thank you for joining Truehope Cast, the official podcast of Truehope Canada. My name is Simon. I am your host. If you are unfamiliar with us at Truehope, we are a mind and body based supplement company that is dedicated first and foremost to promoting brain and body health through non-invasive nutritional means. For more information about Truehope, you can visit truehopecanada.com. If you're new to the podcast, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future episodes. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by the co-owner of Vitamin First Natural Dispensary, Audra Savage. Audra is a registered nurse, certified childbirth educator, doula, breastfeeding expert, and has been a CPR instructor in both private practice and in hospital settings over the past 20 years. Throughout her practice, she has focused on empowering her clients with education and resources. As part of the Vitamin First team, Audra uses her background to encourage natural health and wellness. Vitamin First has 5 locations throughout Calgary, and today Audra and I are going to be discussing her experience of Truehope products within those stores. All right, Audra, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory within healthcare?
Well, I am a registered nurse, and I've spent most of my time, over 30 years, in fact. And when they send you that certificate as a registered nurse, nothing makes you feel older. But I have been a professional doula and a certified childbirth educator for the last 30 years. My whole career has been set up to help women have babies. So I've always sort of had a natural bend to me. Granola, as my other registered nurse sister calls me. But about 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. And I qualified for these heavy-duty biologic drugs that are out there. I wanted an alternative. I had gone to Africa as a nurse. I had been there. I wanted to go again, and I didn't want to be on these heavy-duty drugs. So I looked into the natural world to help me out with my psoriatic arthritis. Most people go into the store and just buy the supplements. We ended up buying the store. But I can say that 12 years later, I am doing very well dealing with it naturally and not on any drugs.
I'm very happy to hear that. Great work. And so from your backstory in healthcare, you've got a very interesting, diverse background, especially when it comes to mothers and babies. How does that kind of lead into your experience when it comes to Empower Plus and Truehope?
Well, there are a few supplements that I sell that I say should have spotlights on them. And Truehope's EMP or Empower is one of them. It just helps so many people. For example, if you are breastfeeding and suffering with postpartum depression, a combination of Empower and high EPA fish oil would be a great combination to go on.
Wonderful. Absolutely. That's really cool. And so people coming into your stores, so you've got 3-4 stores in Calgary?
We had 5 during COVID. We closed down 2, a clinic space and our downtown space. So we were down to 3.
Okay, awesome. And you've got, I've never been to one of your stores. So I walk in, I've got the idea of there's health stores. You've got you've got Whole Foods, and you've got smaller vitamin supplements, but also like grocery kind of a thing situation? What is it? What's your kind of focus there?
So we would be a boutique vitamin and supplement. We don't sell any foods. We would be a boutique vitamin and supplements. And when you walk into our store, everybody that works there has extra education behind them. So not only am I a registered nurse, but I'm trying to play keep up with my herbalists and my nutritionists that also work there that have been in the industry for years.
That's really cool. And then when you're considering a new product to put on the shelf, you're obviously really making sure that that's something that, you know, is of good quality and it's something that your customers want.
Absolutely. Because we physically have a small space, shelf space is at a premium. So we actually have somebody that it is her job to research. So we don't just research the company that the product comes from. We actually go back and find out where the raw ingredients come from, where the whole supply chain. And obviously when it is already set up and established, then bringing in new products from that company is a little bit easier. But we do our due diligence because I want to make sure that everything that is on my shelf is very therapeutic and will help people. And they're not wasting their money. We have a saying as nurses, things are bedpan bullets. So on an elderly patient, a carbonate, for example, would be a bedpan bullet. It goes right through them. So I don't want people to waste their money, and I want them to have very therapeutic products.
That's really wonderful. And most people who come to your store, are they reoccurring customers, or do you get a lot of like new people come in? And because when I first started studying supplements and nutrition, going into a vitamin supplement store can be a really overwhelming thing if you've got no idea what you're looking for.
Yeah, it sure was for me the first time I went in too.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, that's why we staff for having that conversation with people about their health. And we have some very loyal people that come to our store. We're very grateful for them. But we do have new people coming in all the time. And I think younger people are coming in and wanting to, hey, even collagen, I want to start taking care of myself for this, or I've got some anxiety and I need some help with that. So we're seeing younger people too, taking care of their health. I think a pandemic will do that make people aware to really take care of themselves.
And how's the last 12 months been for you guys? I mean, you've had to close a couple of stores, but have you been able to like follow protocols and stay open, or offer like different services to like pick up, drop off deliveries?
Yeah, we never closed. My medicine is at my store. And one day that we were having problems with one of our locations that are in a mall, and they wanted us to close on a Sunday. And I had a patient who had lung cancer, and she was coming in for all her supplementing for her regime that she takes. So her medicine is at my store as well. And so we actually went all the way up to the Alberta government and found out that we are an essential service. So we never did close. We were one of the first to have sneeze guards up and everything and protocols in place to protect everybody.
Well, wonderful that you're able to, you quite clearly do your due diligence with your products and keeping up with the protocols. And yeah, it's an absolute responsibility to continue to make available people's, in some cases, like life-saving supplements and medications. That's wonderful. Why don't you tell us a little bit about when you were initially introduced to Truehope?
Well, I was introduced to Truehope very early on. We've owned the store now for going on 11 years. And I remember it was one of the first products that I got training on. And more than the science behind the product, I was captured by the story. And two sons, David and Dan, came to tell us a story about their father and how he had formulated a product after suffering so much loss. And I was, as a nurse, very captivated because I had never heard of anything in the natural world helping with some of these mental health issues like bipolar. And so I was immediately struck by this one. If it does even half of what it says it does, is one that is going to be a spotlight like I talked about before. And then with our own family trying it, we just have, it's been sealed the deal for us as far as how it works in our life. But I was also very impressed going all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada and fighting to have that supplement in my store. What I love about this industry is that I get to meet formulators and teachers, and it just blows me away. And I can tell those stories to the customers purchasing it. I've met these people, and And this is the story behind what they do and why they do it.
Yeah, and I really love the fact that I think as human beings, and we hear a story, let's say the story you heard from David, that this product and this company, just like many others, is really birthed out of something quite unique and special, and that carries a lot of emotion to it. And I think as a human being, you hear that story coming face to face from somebody, you know that that's genuine, you know that's authentic, and you know that this product and this company is being born from something really, really special. And I think that's a real difference between a lot of these like natural health products and therapies, rather than some pharmaceuticals perhaps. So yeah, you mentioned that you've got some experience personally using the products with your family. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so EMP or Empower is a staple in our family. I have two daughters that, first of all, my whole family are athletes except for their mother. And so...
You're a mother. That's the champion athlete.
I'm the mother. I'm the nurse that puts them back together when they fall apart. Anyways, they have played high level of hockey, and two of my daughters have suffered concussions, and my husband has had 22 documented concussions in his life. So coming out of that, being able to give them the EM Power to help them with their concussion. And I tell my customers that if my husband goes off his EMP, I can tell within 3 days that he's off it. And so he's just not allowed to do that because I hear his laundry list too many times of things that are causing him anxiety.
What do you notice then? Like if he's not been on for a few days?
It helps them. My daughter is a university student. It helps her with focus, with that concussion fog that happens. It has just with my husband Andrew, it just helps him cope more day to day with his never-ending laundry list. He's one of the busiest men I know. He's so hardworking. But it helps him to just decrease his anxiety, focus more on what he has in front of him, and not worry about the rest of the laundry list.
Wonderful. And with your medical background, how do you explain how this broad spectrum micronutrient can really support many different people? I mean, you've got this kind of pattern of concussions in your family, and you're seeing that it's supporting people in different ways. Like, how do you see that working?
Well, the way I explain it to my customers when I only have a couple minutes in front of them is that some brains need more nutrients than other brains. And when your body is telling you, either through depression, anxiety, that fog, you need to focus more in school, this product reads like a multivitamin. So you can take it like a multivitamin, but you know your brain is being fed. It seems to make sense to them. It sort of takes the stigma of anxiety and depression away to just know that some people need the fact that it passes the blood-brain barrier, and they just need more nutrients getting to their brain.
Absolutely. We're all so different. We've all experienced different things. If you've experienced a physical trauma like a concussion, and that's caused actual brain injury, and then somebody who's experienced, let's say, chronic stress and inflammation for many years, that's another form of brain injury itself. And the fact that this product is, again, as you say, bioavailable, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's in its manufacturing, it's being processed in a way that it doesn't matter how kind of inflamed you are, or like how well or not well your digestion's working, you're going to uptake this nutrition, and your body, like it does in its brilliant wisdom, is going to get it to where it needs to go. And the fact that you notice just after a few days, if your husband's not taking his product, that those symptoms creep back, it just shows how even after you've been taking the product for a long period of time, you still need to be taking that consistently. We talk about the fact that our food system and our soil is not quite what it's used to, and we kind of all really need to be taking a base level of micronutrients to really support the continuously working brain that we all have happening.
For sure. And we don't stop eating every day just because we ate the day before. And so our brain needs to be fed on a daily basis. And so I think when people understand that, this is the food for my brain, this is what I need to support what I'm going through in life, or my own biology.
Absolutely. What in the store, what product is a particular favorite?
Well, I would say the EMP or the EM Power is our bestseller and favorite, but we do it in conjunction with the free aminos, and also the inositol is a good seller for us as well.
So when somebody's coming in, and is there a typical condition or set of circumstances that you may recommend Empower Plus in combination with other things, perhaps?
Yeah, I would say the start or the entrance level would be the Empower Plus, or EMP. It's changed some names, so if I go back to calling it EMP, just what we used to call it.
Yeah, we're with you.
Okay. And I think that when people come in and say, I just need a little bit more, then we combine it with the free aminos. Or if we're dealing with an actual diagnosis, then we'll add in the inositol if we're dealing with a compulsive disorder or something like that.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's so wonderful that you're able to, and just the fact that your employees and you have the knowledge of the products and knowledge of the different pathologies that people might come in with, and you can offer that to support to people, because people going into a vitamin store who may not really know what they're looking for, they do need that extra bit of support, and they need that explanation a little bit as well, like why this product is for them. And that can be really reassuring in regards to like taking it and staying on that program.
Right. It is overwhelming when you walk in and there's 2,000 bottles in front of you. With that said, we work with a lot of naturopaths and a lot of doctors. And so when people come in with a prescription, they've had the 2-hour history taking that doctor. So we follow their protocol very
wonderful.
closely.
That's great. So you get a lot of people come in who have been recommended to go and get the product from your store.
Correct. Yeah, we do work with a lot of naturopaths, and it is a favorite out there, that's for sure.
Love that. That's wonderful. Do you have any particular outstanding stories of clients using Empower Plus?
I do. I just actually Friday, a lady that we've been working with for a while, who actually initially came in because she's had incredibly bad menstrual cramps to the point where she's debilitated. And we've worked with her on that. Came in and she's now working full time and going to school full time. And she just feels overwhelmed and like brain fog and all of that. So got her a bottle of the EM Power, and she came back and she goes, that I will not give up. That was amazing. It has helped me in school. It has helped me just be able to juggle everything and not feel so overwhelmed. I also have a dear friend of mine, a concussion again, but she was hit by a car 2 days in a row. And her concussion was...
Hold on, sorry. So can you just repeat that? She got hit by a car on one day and then another one the next day?
And then her daughter was driving her the next day to probably an appointment to deal with her first car accident, and she was hit again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that double impact, that double concussion, that brain injury just seems to be when our brain is shaken that severely, that close together, when it hasn't had time to recover, is in my experience when the concussions get really bad. She was so bad she would go into a grocery store and get lost. And I know that sounds funny, but she could not find her way out of the grocery store or to her car, and it would cause her complete panic. EM Power was one of the first things I recommended that she go on, and she stayed on it for, I think to this day, she's still on it, and we're probably 3 years into it. She's now back at work. She's able to focus. She was always one of those people, like my husband, that can handle everything for everybody. And so this was a real hit to her, not to be able to even find her way out of a grocery store. And the EM Power has just helped her so tremendously get her life back.
Wow. And yeah, being able to use Empower Plus, this micronutrient product, to not just help with the brain trauma and the concussion and that physical damage itself, but as you say, like going into a grocery store and not knowing where you are, like the panic and the anxiety and the frustration and the rage and all these emotions that just like flood, that product being able to support that as well at the same time, that's really wonderful. Yeah, that's wild. I can't believe that happened, like a car accident day one and another one the second day. Like we've spoken with a couple of serious hockey players quite recently on the podcast, and we're talking about concussion after concussion after concussion out on the ice, and just the injury on top of injury on top of injury, and the body just goes into this like constant state of inflammation. And it's such a hard thing. I mean, I'm a soccer player we don't really have to deal with anything like that. But this, the hockey is a whole different ball game. But it's really remarkable how the brain and the body can recover and heal and get people kind of back to where they were in a relatively short period of time after something so traumatic.
Yeah, it is amazing, our body's ability to heal. One of my daughters, it was a soccer injury, though. Or would you say football injury?
I would say football, but I've been here for a few years now.
So yeah, it was at school, and she got knocked out. Teacher got her up, dusted her off, and got her to keep playing. So it seems these double concussions seem to be the worst. But it is amazing how when we feed our body the right nutrients, how it can heal.
Yeah, and hopefully we can try and get this product into the hands of more people who are experiencing this, because quite competitive sports happen from a very, very young age, even when brains are developing. So yeah, it's a really important message. So you've got a very interesting background as a childbirth educator, professional doula, and breastfeeding expert. Have you ever recommended Empower Plus for postpartum?
Yeah, one of the issues in postpartum is postpartum depression. And when you are breastfeeding, you certainly don't want to put a mom suffering from depression on the drugs that would pass into the baby. And so a really good combination would be the Empower Plus a high EPA fish oil. There's some good studies on the high EPA fish oil to combat postpartum depression. So it's a really good combination.
And you've seen some good success with that?
Good success.
Wonderful. That's really great to hear. Do you have any particular favorite health resources, any websites that you like to check out, any podcasts that you like? Because I think it's really important that I like to know what people who I follow are listening to, so I can kind of get to know that. And there's almost too much information out there to be able to filter it to get the real good stuff. Do you have any places that you could recommend us to go and check out?
Besides my amazing staff, when I go to them and I work with them, and they're still helping me with all these herbs, and I really missed the trade show this year. I love being able to have that education day with all of the formulators, and I love to be able to go from booth to booth to talk to. I get my specific questions answered, but as far as now what I deal with, I miss that. I'm always blown away that these formulators will come to my little bitty store and talk to me, and so I love that personal connection. I'm missing it a little bit this last year, but I do love that. I just did a webinar yesterday for one of the products, so companies are still doing a lot of webinars, and so a lot of resource that way.
Wonderful. And I would just love to know, what do you love most about your job and working at the vitamin shop?
Good question. I love the same reason that I am a registered nurse, to help people, to be there, to be trusted to speak into their lives is really important. And so that is fulfilled at that level, at a store level as well, that I am trusted to hear people's stories and try and the scientist in me likes that detective work, is what's going on in your body, can we figure that out? But just really, I love and I'm very fulfilled when people come back and say, nailed it. That's exactly what I needed. That has helped me. That has changed my life. And so that is extremely fulfilling for me.
Wonderful. I'd love to ask about, just to kind of finish up, your training, your conventional training as a registered nurse, and then you'll kind of step into the natural world. Are there any significant differences between the two lines of education that you've really noticed?
There's absolutely different lines. I often say I had to expand my toolbox. I did my training. I had a toolbox in Western medicine, but there were so many things that there weren't answers for. And all we ended up doing is putting people on more drugs. And we were chasing symptoms, and we were putting Band-Aids on things. And so what I love about the natural world is I've expanded my toolbox and my tools that I can go to, but also we get to take a step back. Is that really adrenal fatigue, that sleep issue? Is that anxiety just your brain not being fed in the right way? And so we're not always chasing symptoms in this world. We can actually take a step back and heal. And I love that.
That's cool. And I think, it's so important that you've got both sets of education, because they both obviously complement each other, and you can see gaps in each one, and you've got this clear motivation and clear drive and clear energy that you want to obviously further your own education, but really like get to the root of what people are coming in for that need support in your store.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, how can people connect with you?
Well, you can, if you're here in Calgary, you can come and visit me at Vitamins First at our locations. You can call me at one of the stores, and our phone number is 403-242-1777. Or you can email me at savage@vitaminsfirst.ca.
Wonderful. We'll make sure all those links are available in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Audra, you can do that. But I want to thank you so much for talking with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, yeah, as again, any information that you need, you can check out the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. This is Truehope Cast, the official podcast of Truehope Canada. Have a beautiful day.